Today we have a fun hand where Rampage Poker goes for a check raise all in on the river with nothing. Seems like fun. This hand actually took place at the Lodge, which was recently purchased by Doug Polk, Brad Owen, and Andrew Nemi. They said that we can use some of their content on my YouTube channel. So let's get right to it.
The hand of the night, the hand that has been haunting me for a while now. We pick up ace-9 of clubs on the hijack, and we get the +3 player to my right who opened limps for $40. Playing 20-40 essentially, I put in a raise to $150 with a playable, decent hand. Action folds to the button player who, as you can see, has a pretty strong premium, puts in a 3-bet to $500, and action folds to me. All I can say in preface is that this was one big leveling war in my head. I'm definitely aware of myself knowing that I am probably the most inexperienced player at the table, probably the least skilled player at the table, so ace-9 suited certainly can fold pre-flop, but like I said, we're here to play hands, and I decided to call for 500 total, going to a flop out of position.
One thing that you will regularly encounter in live cash games are limpers. And when someone limps and you have a hand that is pretty good, a hand that you don't really mind playing heads up, especially in position, you typically want to put in a raise. I like Rampage's play in this scenario a lot, and I would basically never limp behind in this spot unless I was very sure if I raised that someone yet to act would re-raise. And quite often in live cash games, most people are just going to call behind you or fold. So I definitely love Rampage's play so far. Facing the re-raise for $350 more, playing roughly 200 big blinds, deep effective, you need to call. Ace-9 suits a hand that can flop very strong nut hands, and whenever it does randomly come 9-9x or ace-9x, you stand to win a pretty big pot, so you can't fold in this spot. One thing I do want to focus on, though, is that Rampage said he is probably the least experienced player at the table. And while I realize Rampage is a video blogger, he's in there making content, if you find that you are the least experienced player at the table and your goal is to make as much money as you can from poker, maybe you want to find a new table. In order to beat poker, you have to find a game you can beat, play it a lot, and keep a proper bankroll. But first step of that is find a game you can beat. And if you do not have a decent edge on your opponents, you're probably not going to win. Let's go to the flop.
The flop comes 10 deuce 6, 2 diamonds, and you can see what I'm holding, and you're probably thinking, why is this even a little bit significant? Why are you in this hand? Like, this looks like such a boring hand. The button's just going to c-bet with his overpair, and you're just going to fold because you have absolutely nothing. You have actually less than nothing. But yeah, for $350, pretty small bets. This was just a leveling war for me. I bluffed him off the first hand with queen high. I'm going to float the flop again with ace high as a non-believer for one reason or another.
When the flop comes 10-6-2 with no club, the plan is usually to check fold. So Rampage checks, and E makes a very good bet. He bets $350, very tiny. This is a play that he's going to want to make with his entire range because he stands to have a pretty big range advantage in this scenario. And unless he's against the set, his range is going to be pretty heavily favored over Rampage's range. So in this spot, he can bet with pretty much everything. Now, if he bet bigger in this scenario, Rampage just has an easy fold. But when he bets so tiny, calling starts to develop some merit. That said, with no backdoor flush draw and a bad backdoor straight draw, and the fact that we have the ace high here, which is actually not great because we're going to be against ace king, ace queen, and ace jack sometimes, I think we just have to find a fold. And Rampage mentions that he is having these like weird leveling wars in his head. But for the most part, if you just play good, strong, fundamentally sound poker, none of that really matters that much, unless your opponent's clearly insane, and E in this hand does not seem to be clearly insane. So just check fold, it's not your flop.
The turn comes the king of clubs, and now you're thinking, wow, Ethan, you have less than nothing now, and you're up against top set. What's going through your mind? And all I can say is a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of non-believing. I guess some hands that we are still ahead of are some diamond holdings, even though that's pretty flawed logic because we don't block the ace of diamonds, and most of his 3-betting hands are going to be higher ace-high diamonds with a better kicker than a 9. So when he sizes up to $1,300 here, I'm praying he has a hand like Queen Jack. No showdown. Honestly, in real time, I thought this pot was $1,300, not $1,800, so the math was a little bit wrong. I thought he bet a pot size bet. Obviously, it was not. It's just like closer to 2/3 and it's pretty good sizing. I thought it was a little bit bluffy. Like I said, just thought about this one for a while, and the fold button is really easy to click when you have nothing and next to nothing, but a little too ambitious. Maybe wanted to be too much of a hero on stream. But for $1,300, we decided on a call with ace-9 of nothing.
When the turn brings the king of clubs, it's not really a great spot because now you lose to king, queen, and king, jack that would have raised pre-flop and probably made a small continuation bet on the flop. So that's not good. Also, if you are against ace, king, you're now dead. If you're against pocket kings, you're now dead. If you're against pocket aces, well, you've been dead. So again, you just have to fold. Rampage said that he did not correctly count the pot, and you will find that if you are playing bigger stakes than normal, or if you're excited or in these weird leveling wars in your head, you're not going to think clearly, which is why it's important to make sure you are really focusing on playing good, strong, fundamentally sound strategies when you are playing against good, strong opponents like E seems to be. So, again, just check fold. While it is nice that we do beat the queen jack and the jack 9 and the queen 9, which we block, we lose to basically everything else now. So you just got to check fold again. In general, the line of check call flop, check call turn, lead the river is not a good line when all the draws miss, because if your opponent has any made hand whatsoever, or maybe even any bluff catcher, if they're anywhere near decent, they're going to call.
Going to a river. The river, as you can see, he already has the check mark. It doesn't even matter. The river is the 8 of spades. So I have a 9 in hand. You could say that I block 9-7 for the nuts, but that just doesn't even matter. We're out of position, and honestly, in my head at this point, I really thought that sometimes my ace high can be good here. I decided to check and not lead out on this river. Leading out definitely would have saved me some money, but yeah, I was hoping that this player would actually throw out a pretty large sizing to look like a bluff, and then I could maybe potentially hero it off with ace high. But he doesn't do that. He bets out a very good, adequate value-like sizing of half pot of $2,200. And as you can see in my stack, I've got 7,200, about 5,000 on top and more. Things just have always been off the rails from the start of this hand, but it has never gone more off the rails when I level myself into thinking, let's be a hero. Let's just try to get him to fold. Why am I bluffing the best player at this table twice? Who knows, man? What's going on in my head? Absolutely nothing. Nothing smart and nothing really good at all. So, yeah, have you ever seen one person light up more money on fire in the worst way possible than this? I think things over. Reach for one red chip. I always like to do the all-ins with the lowest denomination and one chip of it and announce it because I think it looks cool. But it doesn't look cool when you do it and you just before you even announce the all-in, yeah, you run into it. This one hurt a lot.
It's never fun when you check shove all in on the river and your opponent immediately piles their chips in the pot. Feels bad, man. All right, on the river, Rampage checks, E makes a roughly half pot bet. In the spot, if E is good, as I'm going to presume he is, his range should be a few nut hands, like sets, maybe two pairs. Mostly strong but non-premium hands, like pocket aces, ace king, maybe king queen, maybe king jack if he has them. And then a few bluffs, with hands like queen jack if he has it, queen 9 and jack 9 if he has it, maybe ace jack, maybe ace queen, and maybe some stone airballs with hands like ace 4 suited. So, in the spot, the question becomes, should Rampage ever check raise all in as a bluff? Well, if he has any hands he wants to check raise all in for value, like two pairs and sets, then he needs to have some bluffs, assuming he's trying to play well. So the question then becomes, assuming we're going to have a few bluffs, which cards in our hand do we really want to have to bluff? And also, which cards in our hand do we really want to have to not bluff? So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and write in the comment section, right down there, which cards Rampage really wants to have in his hand to bluff, and also which cards does he really not want to have. I realize this is a difficult question, but this is the kind of thing you need to be thinking about in game, assuming you are trying to play at a world-class level. So which cards does Rampage want to be bluffing with, and which cards does he really not want to be bluffing with? Pause the video and write what you would do in the comment section below. This is actually a very tough question because it's important to ask yourself, will E fold pocket aces, ace king, and king queen to a check raise all in? Maybe he will, maybe he won't. It seems like Rampage has been in there battling a little bit, and he said he's already bluffed E out of a decently big pot with the queen high. Now, I don't know if he knows that, but if he knows that Rampage has already run a bluff, he's going to be way more inclined to find hero calls. Also, all the draws missed. When all the draws miss, if E is anywhere near decent, he's going to realize that assuming Rampage is willing to battle, that you just need to find some hero calls. So, let's presume that E primarily or always calls with aces, ace, king, and king, queen. Fine. Now, as Rampage, we want to not have cards in our hand that block E's automatic folds. So which hands is E going to bluff with that will automatically fold the river? Well, that's going to be ace queen, ace jack, maybe like ace nine, randomly if he has it, queen jack, queen nine, and jack nine. Now, I realize we beat queen nine, jack nine, queen jack, but we lose to ace queen and ace jack. So we really, really, really want to not have an ace or a queen or a jack in our hand to run the bluff. Do we have an ace, a queen, or a jack? We do. So that's not good. Also, we really don't want to have the ace of diamonds to run a bluff because that's a hand that perhaps E would bet the flop and the turn and the river with and then fold it, right? Like ace, queen of diamonds is a hand that makes some sense to bet the flop and bet the turn. If he gets to the river, he may feel inclined to bluff it. And that's going to be a hand that will automatically fold to a shove. So we really don't want to have the ace of diamonds, which we don't. Okay, fine. So I don't think we want to have an ace in this scenario. And I don't think any of the other cards matter all that much. Now, to be fair, if E does not bet the turn with ace, queen, and ace jack, or he does not bet the river, then that card does not matter so much anymore, right? That said, we really don't want to have the ace of diamonds in this spot because that's the card we really want E to have. Okay, which cards would we like to have in our hand to bluff? And this is a rather weird spot because normally whenever you're running a bluff on the river, you kind of want to block the automatic calls. So which hands are going to automatically call? Well, that's going to be sets and two pairs. So we want to block sets and two pairs. So if we have a king, we have an easy call. So that card doesn't really matter. What about if we have a 10? Do we need to check raise all in with a 10? With a hand like 10-9 suited or jack 10 suited? And I don't know. I think that we could probably check call with that. So we need to find a slightly worse hand, maybe a hand with an 8. Do we have any cards or any hands in our range that could have an 8? If we have ace 8 of diamonds, well, we have that ace of diamonds, which we really don't want to bluff with. What about a hand like 8-7 of diamonds or 9-8 of diamonds? Does that block any realistic two pairs for E? And I'm not sure because I don't imagine E is 3-betting the 10-8 suited or perhaps even the king-8 suited. So the 8 doesn't really matter that much either. So this is a spot where I don't think there are all that many cards you really want to have in your range, and I don't think we need to be bluffing with a 10, but I could be convinced that with a hand like 10-9 suited, we should perhaps run the bluff if we think we can get E to fold out a hand like King Queen. But like I said, I don't think we're going to get E to fold out King Queen. So I don't think there are all that many cards in the hand that we really want to have in our hand to bluff with, but I think it's very important in this spot that we really do not want to have the ace of diamonds in our hand. So Rampage runs the bluff, he gets snap called, he loses, such is life. It's fun for all of us, not so fun for all of him. Thanks to Rampage for letting me use this hand. I know it's no fun to show the times where you perhaps get a little bit out of line and mess up, but it's good for the YouTube analytics, isn't it? Also, thanks to the Lodge for letting us use this footage. I appreciate all of them. Also, I appreciate all of you. If you enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor, click the like and subscribe buttons down there below. Also, click the notification bell. And we'll be back next time with another fun poker hand. Thanks for watching.